out of the way. Ugh, okay. Welcome to another episode of the Super Movie Studies Podcast, a community of super movie fans, teachers, and students, people looking to discover more about superheroes and the world because both are awesome. I'm your comic book culture host, Michael Maurer, joined by the movie maestro
James Schuyler Houtsma.
and the scientific scholar.
Ben Anderson. SMSP is your premier. SMSP is your premier movie discussion podcast. Every week we continue our journey, exploring our favorite subjects, superhero movies. Every fan sees the movie differently, so we gather some amateur experts to discuss certain aspects of the movie.
Whether it's money, comic books, music, or science, SMSP talks about it all in this week's episode. The Spirit. And yes, there will be spoilers.
Spoiler alert, this movie's terrible.
There's not really anything to spoil in this movie, is there?
It spoiled itself
By being what it is.
by
Yeah.
being a baby, a little baby movie. You know, it's like a little toddler movie.
Remember when I called Fantastic Four an anti-movie?
This kind of fits the bill.
This kind of fits the bill.
This feels like, watching this, I felt like an extraterrestrial directed it. But this alien has never actually seen a movie. He's just had movies described to him, and then tried making his own.
I feel as if this is like some sort of Sin City spin-off fan fiction.
It is by the guy who did Sin City.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we've headlonged into first opinions, but I want to back it up real quick. New title, first official episode with the new title.
Hooray for Earth.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I know we've gone 3-4 episodes with us still saying SHMC, but now we are SMSP, Super Movie Studies Podcast.
Which means there's hours of work ahead to change all the social media.
Oh, please. We're gonna transfer all of that to the new website. Still on the way. It will be tryopcop.com though. All right?
Someday.
So just keep searching tryopcop.com and eventually something magical will appear.
When I'm awfully alone.
All right, so moving on to speaking of loneliness, this is how everyone felt after watching The Spirit. Because that dude like hits it with every woman and then just hangs them out to dry right in front of them.
The most bizarre scene to me, speaking of how he treats women, was he like breaks into some girl's apartment and she's taking a shower, and he's like points his gun at her and he's like, hands in the air or something, and then she's like, well, okay, and puts her hands up and then drops the towel, and he's like, oh fuck, boobs. Like he'd never seen it before and was kind of nervous because this movie was like for 8th graders or 8-year-olds.
Did anyone
I
else
was like, what do you expect? You know, I can't believe that you're this like suave womanizer if you freak out when you see a boob.
It's a boob of a childhood friend.
Much less two of them.
Were they childhood friends?
Yes, that
Yeah.
was the only coherent plot point of the film.
I feel like they didn't establish that very well, if that point was lost on me during that scene.
Please, they didn't establish anything very well because, yeah, this movie, what does it start with? Danny Colt coming back from his near-death experience or whatever, fighting crime, and the main plot is him versus his adversary of Octopus, the Octopus. And we don't really get what the hell the octopus is really after until like an hour and a half into the movie, and still it's not the most clear. But I did catch the sans serif Denny relationship somewhat. She sort of jumps the gun on hating cops after her father dies, but it's understandable.
Guys, everyone in this movie is fucking terrible. Like,
Hey,
like
I think Sam Jackson did his best effort.
Sam
no,
Jackson did the best he could with what he was given.
and
um,
came off just fucking awful because of it.
well, okay, he
He's not a bad actor. I
no,
No,
think
he's not.
it
whoever
was.
made this movie saw him in like Pulp Fiction, and it was like, oh man, a black dude who yells a lot. I need that to play the octopus.
You know what? I honestly like it all. Thinking about it more, it all comes down to direction. You know, not to be a snob, and that all the pieces for a pretty good Spirit film, I think, were there. But like the actors tried to do something completely different with each of their characters. They were all acting with their own stories in mind and not really reacting to each other. And the director didn't really catch up on that. He's like, "Hey, can we have another cool floaty red tie effect?"
Oh, speaking of director, um, this is the first and, as far as I know, only solo directorial effort by Frank Miller, and I can see why.
D- Frank Miller didn't do any other movies?
I think he co-directed with Robert Rodriguez on Sin City, the first
And
one.
Sin City 2?
Probably, but as we can see, there's a world of difference between these two movies.
Yeah, I suppose.
This,
So yeah.
I just want to add one more thing to First Opinions. This movie had the fastest. Oh, Michael and Skylar, like they don't really know this is going to be okay. To, oh fuck, this is the worst thing I'm ever going to watch. Like the time between those two thoughts is about 5 seconds.
I loved your comment, Ben, when Sky was like, "Oh, I haven't seen this one in a while. Could someone send me a like a copy of it or something?" And you're like, "Just look it up online. You don't need to. It's not considered pirating because it's not even a movie."
It's
I
true.
actually,
It's not. You're not pirating a movie. You're just watching some dumb shit.
I actually had never seen this one before the recording, and now I understand why. It's
Yeah.
like my basic primordial instinct was like, stay away from the spirit. And I was like, but why?
Quick,
And now I know.
we have to give this disclaimer every time because we don't. I don't want to be the three nerds who hate a film because it sucks or anything like that. We all just need to take a moment and appreciate the wonderful aspects of this movie and what Frank Miller is so freaking talented at is the visuals in this film were striking. I'm gonna have to say it. All right.
Strikingly ugly.
Oh no, I
The
thought the
first
beginning.
scene, and
Yeah.
this is why I went from this is not going to be as bad as Michael says to this is going to be the worst thing ever because the very first scene is like visually interesting to look at.
Yeah, when he's
Like
running
it's
across
a
the rooftops
the
and
very
all the silhouettes.
yeah it's a well shot little sequence.
It's really creative too, because I've just never seen that look in a film. Like it's not animated, but it's not completely in the realm of reality either, of course.
Quite honestly, Sin City did it first, and Sin City did it better.
That's true.
Absolutely, yeah.
I saw Clive Owen's scene in Sin City a lot with what the Spirit was doing. I was like, do they even have the same sneakers?
Yeah, as far as what the spirit was saying in that scene, it was just garblegook. Like, my city provides for me. She
Yeah,
makes me
whatever.
toast in the morning and rubs my feet. And yeah.
Any time you make the city a character, I think you've lost. Because no one, who the hell talks like that? My city.
You need to do it carefully.
Yeah, super careful.
No,
Like not at all.
no, like that was bad. But the moment where um, the spirit and the octopus meet up and just bash each other like a Looney Tunes cartoon was where I was like, nope, fuck this, nope.
Yeah. Anything involving the octopus got a little bit too far out there for me. But let's move on to how far out there is the spirit's potential earnings. I don't even. Did anyone look up the production budget on this thing?
Here, let me.
Literally like
Okay.
$5.
No, okay. It took a fair amount to um do that all that fun, cool visual stuff.
All right, so Spirit has a production budget of 60 million. So, it's a movie on a budget, whatever. As it stands, its domestic gross is 19.8 million, foreign gross 19.2 million, which brings it to a worldwide gross of 39 million.
Hey, you know what?
Garf.
About $8 of that was my money.
Did you actually see this in theaters?
I went to go see this in theaters. I went with my buddy Shimo, and we thought it was going to be cool. We thought it looked really cool. I hadn't actually seen Sin City before, but I mean, I was really interested in that style of cinematography and whatnot. But the same reaction, this movie was actually worse the second time I watched it. Typically, I get a very sour opinion the first time I watch it, and the second time I can appreciate it better. This time it was so much worse. I don't know what it was. I think it was because I had to sit. I didn't realize how long this movie was.
How long is this movie?
An hour and 43 minutes, I'm pretty sure.
Too
I sat
long.
through the whole thing.
Ugh.
Usually with a movie like this, I'll watch like the first 40 minutes or so and then like watch like a few random 5-minute chunks because I'm like, this is bad and I get it. And I watched the whole thing because it was so bizarre.
It's like an art school project.
Yeah, or
I started
something.
this movie up, got interrupted, and then restarted it again the next
Oh.
night.
Don't do that. So to
That's 2
relativize,
hours of my life gone.
so to bring into context those numbers, The Spirit was in theater for only 4 tiny weeks, and it's grouped as a comic book adaptation. And that's mostly true. I'll talk about that real quick in a bit, but there are 107 other films in Box Office Mojo that classify as a comic book movie that have made more money than The Spirit. 107. Is one of them Dread?
Oh, also, probably not, but consider this as well. Movie came out December of 2008. There was another comic book movie that came out that month, something a little known as Punisher Warzone. And despite the fact that The Spirit is almost infinitely worse than that film, which is saying something, it still did better.
Oh. Well, it had a name like Frank Miller on it. And Gabriel mocked.
This felt like a movie that would come out in January.
What are you talking about, Ben? Oh, all right. We're going to move on because this comic book section is one of the most taxing comic book sections I've ever had to do because I came into The Spirit knowing nothing outside of the fact that it is considered a classic. It is considered by a lot of comic book fans the Citizen Kane of comic books. And what do I learn? The Spirit didn't even start as a comic book. It started as a 7-page comic strip, meaning it was published originally weekly in the Sunday papers as a means to compete with the ever-rising action comic books of the time. It's when Detective Comics and Action Comics started coming out. You know, they're very dated stories. That's a fact. I won't say the stories get good until like 7 years in, and that's just saying that's when the octopus shows up.
So, question. When you say that the stories are very dated, are they like the Spirit movie where it makes women just look stupid as hell?
Yeah, yeah, I'll explain that with Ellen Dolan because she's sort of dumbed down in that comic book, but mostly it's dated because they're 7-page stories. They're very short. There's not a lot of depth. They're very quick. They can be fun. There's some tremendous racism. simply with this side character called Ebony White, which did not appear in the movie at all, but is a tremendous racial stereotype that appears in almost every other Spirit comic book, of just this black taxi driver with huge lips. Like, everyone is drawn like a real person except his black taxi driver.
Oh.
He's drawn like Dopey.
Would you say it's worse than Tintin?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Okay. That
Just
sounds worse than Tintin.
just because of Ebony White. That's really it.
They don't really boast that when they hand out the Eisner Awards at the end, whenever they do.
Yeah, then that's a thing, because the Spirit is Will Eisner's biggest baby. Will Eisner is super famous in the comic book community. He is considered a legend for his ability to elevate the art of comic book making. He's challenged the medium so that each panel adds meaning to a story. Like people have figured out a classification method for how panels are drawn. If you read Scott McCloud's How to Understanding Comic Books, he talks a lot about Will Eisner's methods. And there is rarely a basic headshot of like a character talking in the Spirit. All the panels are dynamic element to them, different angled shots. Like, he put a lot of effort into his art. Not a whole lot into his story, but 7 pages. Come on. You can't be expected to do. He got the job done. And he did this for a decade. Like, every week too. This wasn't usually, comic books come out once a month. The Spirit came out every week. It was just, poof, there it is in the paper. He did it. So we're going to move on to the characters of the Spirit movie, starting with Silken Floss, premiering in the Spirit number 354 in 1947. She's been in a total of 15 issues. By the way, all characters are created, written and drawn by Will Eisner. So Silken Floss is a master surgeon. Literally, her first appearance, she takes a transfusion from the Spirit, who just shows up during one of her operations, and she puts that transfusion into the patient she's currently operating on as soon as she meets him. She's like, "Oh, hey, transfusion. What's your blood type?" He doesn't even say what his blood type is. He just takes the blood. She just, "All right, the Spirit, we need to talk." And that's really Silken Floss in all general. In the movie, she's Octopus's right-hand man, and that appears in the comics as well. But I don't know about these all the dopey guys that showed up in the movie that hold different names, like Bozo and Huevo Rancheros.
That was the one joke that made me laugh. When they're the two Tweedledee and Tweedledum guys, and they were like Huevos Rancheros, and I was like, okay, that's kind of...
It's humorous.
I mean, that's the joke. Mm-hmm. Huevos Rancheros.
Next character, Commissioner Dolan, or the character in the movie that said "goddamn" every 5 seconds. He premieres with the Spirit in Spirit number 1, June 2nd, 1940. He is the Spirit's main confidant, a no-nonsense, pipe-smoking, grizzled son of a bitch. Spirit's main source of what crimes need justicing, besides the things that just sort of happen upon him on a regular day-to-day basis. Not much to say about Dolan, but there is a fair amount to say about his daughter, Ellen Dolan, who appears in the second Spirit comic book, number 2. And it's a 1940s plot mechanism, so it's very simple. Her premiere is she visits her father at a mental ward with her fiancé, believes the story of one of the mental patients, which is the Spirit's last criminal catch, Dr. Cobra, and helps him escape, because she's a moron, apparently. Spirit later saves her, and then gives her a "she's all that" makeover, where he just takes off her glasses and lets her hair down, and he says, "You're welcome, future fiance, because your wife is now smoking hot thanks to the Spirit, and I'm going to take my reward." And he kisses her right on the lips, and then she cancels the engagement. Well, she doesn't cancel it, but I mean...
No.
And eventually, Ellen Dolan becomes obsessed with winning the heart of the spirit. She causes situations where she becomes a damsel in distress, and he has to come rescue her. She doesn't stay this way, all right? Times change, people move forward. Ellen Dolan gains some very solid dignity. She eventually establishes her own independent uh, detective agency and runs for the candidacy of Central City Mayor, wins, and becomes her father's boss. So she's gone a lot. She moved a lot farther from, oh, hello, sorry soul. I believe everything you say because I'm in a mental institution.
Good for her.
And in the
Sarah
movie,
Paulson
what the
deserves so
hell?
much more.
I don't know what the hell was going on with Ellen Dolan in the movie because she loves the spirit, she hates the spirit. She calls she looks older than Commissioner Dolan in the movie, which freaked me out because she called him daddy.
Yeah, more on that later.
Okay. Next character, Sans Serif in The Spirit #3. Not the actual #3 comic book published. It's when The Spirit was renumbered into a 5-issue comic miniseries in the 50s, 1952. That Spirit #3. The movie's pretty on point with her, actually. The two characters grew up together. Denny's uncle indirectly caused the death of her beat cop father. She becomes convinced that her father would still be alive if it weren't for him being a cop. Therefore, she vows to hate all cops forever. Falls into a life of crime with frequent armed robberies, has run-ins with the spirit, and they sort of, fall in and out of love together because our love can never be because you're a criminal. And she's like, I'm too broken to love someone who's as good as you, a freaking vigilante. And she knows who the spirit's real identity is, one of the only 2-3 characters who actually do throughout the whole series. And she's never given it up. And that's sort of like her claim to grace in the series.
You mean just beyond literally liking shiny things as her motivation?
That was in the movie. And you know what? I think they should have pushed more that she wanted to get out of the town and not that she was obsessed with shiny things. Because it's a bit more relatable to be like, I hate this town that I live in because I'm a teenager, and my dad died in this town, so I want to leave it. Huh?
Yeah, that's a motivation I can get behind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what she was doing in this movie, why she did anything.
It's true. She was trying to get the Golden Fleece because she was obsessed with Jason and the Argonauts. Next character, the Octopus, premiered in Spirit number 376, 1947. We're 6 years into weekly publications of the Spirit. The Octopus is Spirit's arch nemesis. His real name is Zitzboth Zark. The octopus is never seen. His face is never seen, never drawn. The only thing ever visible in a drawing are his purple gloves with stripes, and maybe his eyes sometimes. Instead of a master scientist in the movie, obsessed with immortality, he's actually a master of disguise. Hence, no one's ever seen his real face. One of the few characters in Spirit stories to actually knock the whimsy right out of it. The octopus equals dire conflict for the spirit, being the root of Denny's very few darker story arcs, and actually arcs in general, because he's a recurring villain. Of a lot of villains don't really recur outside of Silk and Floss, Dr. Cobra, and the octopus.
Why does everything about the literary octopus sound so much goddamn better than what we got in the movie?
Because I don't think Sam Jackson read a Spirit comic book, and he wasn't. It wasn't essential for him to need to, and you need to see an actor's face. You could get away with not seeing Sam Jackson's face and still being intimidated by him. There wasn't direction, is the thing. I think that's really what it was. Like,
If you're gonna pay however many $1 million to get Sam Jackson in your movie, so you can put his name on the poster, so that people will come to see your pile of schlock, you have to show his face.
Yeah.
You know?
Unless you're
But
Carl
even-
Urban in Dredd.
Or Hugo Weaving in V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
Or any.
Well, look
or
at how
James
much.
Earl Jones on Star Wars.
What? James Earl. Oh, okay. You heard his. Okay, never mind. James Earl Jones is like the one success story. Because look at how much money Dredd make, and look at how much money V for Vendetta made, and you're like, there's a reason. And look at how much money this movie made. You could have done it anyway. And finally, we're moving on to the big final character, the Spirit, premiering in The Origin of the Spirit. The Spirit #1, 1940. Denny Colt, real name, was a criminologist going after a mad scientist named Dr. Cobra. In a confrontation with Cobra, a chemical vat spilled all over Denny's face, seemingly killing him. Actually, it just put him in a death-like suspended animation. He claws his way out of the grave, slaps on a domino mask, blue trench coat, and red tie, and starts fighting crime outside of the law's reach, calling himself the Spirit. With the help of Commissioner Dolan, the Spirit becomes a feared name among criminals. That's the premise of pretty much the pilot, or the very first comic strip of the Spirit, condensed after I read it from the library. And to settle something, this is something that deeply confused me, because in the movie, the Spirit's immortal, and so is the octopus. And you're kind of like, why and how? It's very poorly, the most poorly thing explained in the film. In the original books, the Spirit has no superpowers. He's just a really talented, intelligent, athletic guy who happens to be really lucky, too. But throughout the years, because this character has lasted so long and done so much crazy crap, that it's very underhandedly hinted at that the chemical spill that caused that suspended animation actually gave him superpowers, like some super strength, endurance, speed, and wit, because some of the crap he pulls off is just unreal. And he never appears to age, while a few characters like Ellen Dolan sort of grow up around him. I think I used to have a couple examples of ridiculousness. He had a flying car. He lives in a cemetery.
Of course.
Does he have all those cats around him?
No, not as many cats. If I could just explain, one of the stories involved like some guy gambling away all of his money that he was going to spend on his dead wife, and he didn't. I'm sorry, he gambled these $28 he had on his dead wife because his father gambled, and so he gambles. Gets $1,000, so he makes it big. The gambling casino owners are like, "Nuh-uh, dude, you totally cheated us. We're gonna punch you, beat you up, and take that money because it's ours." They leave him for dead outside of the cemetery where the Spirit is. Spirit picks him up and says, "All right, we're just gonna pretend you're dead. I'm gonna go solve this." Spirit goes out to every casino in Central City, and well, at the time it was New York City before they had to change it. And he wrecks up. He cleans house in every casino in the city. Wins $30,000 in 1940, and then goes to the one casino left that cheated this one guy out of $1,000. And he sees that they cheated. They dealt under the deck, and he just beats the shit out of them. And and then runs away from them because they start chasing him, because they call all their gang friends. Gets away. He calls the cops on them. The cops arrest him and say, "Hey, we've got a note from a guy that you beat up in the cemetery. We found his dead body and a note saying that you beat him up. Your partner who beat him up, he's also dead. He died in a car accident about 20 minutes ago. And then the guy's like, oh, my partner's dead? Well, he did everything. He just convinced me to do it. And then, of course, the partner's like, you lying cheat, squealing rat. And then they both go to jail. And the guy shows up and says, no, I'm alive. I'm going to go see my almost dying wife. And that's the story.
Still would have been better than the movie.
Yeah.
I'm just, because I'm in awe, because the spirit gave this guy all of the money, and then that guy gave all of the money to charity. Oh. But I mean, it didn't solve the problem in the first place of, like, don't gamble away. I don't know, it's trying to teach a lesson that gambling is bad? Because gambling is seen as, like, really, really good in this story.
It's only when you cheat at gambling that you get the shit kicked out of you.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd agree to that.
Let's move on to a different section, because I'm done.
Okay, so that naturally means that music is up next, which for this one is just going to be quick and dirty. I apologize, but just trying to find music from the Spirit score by David Newman, cousin to Randy Newman and brother to Thomas Newman, is exhausting. So
Why didn't you just play some songs by Randy Newman instead?
Was that an option?
Anything that has the word
Spirit.
you got.
What you got on this cat? Octopus. The only track I have on the docket for today is Spirit Kisses Sand, and the just to kind of overview the music of the Spirit, it is exactly as ham-fisted, over the top, and just strange as the movie it accompanies. Let's take a listen.
All right. Spirit Kisses Sand.
Yeah.
There. It sounds okay. This track sounds like something a music critic would reference as this person's early work.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were so many points in this movie where I was listening to the music and it's like, this is the most white bread, banal attempt at, the baseline of a superhero score I could even imagine.
It sounds like back when I had Finale Notepad on my parents' computer in like 8th grade, and I was just kind of messing around.
I'm familiar with this program.
Yeah. And like it's just, I wrote a couple like 8 bars of just total schlock. And I was like, hey, this is kind of cool.
The horns come in, they grow, and they fade out, and then we tinkle. Doo-doo-doom-doom-doom.
Yeah, it sounds perfunctory, like everything about this movie.
Are you sure you don't have at least one more track for us? I want one more. I do. I really, really do.
If you want, we can play the Christina Aguilera song that was written for this movie.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I might have thought about playing that at the end, but I'll play something else at the end.
Play a different part of the song.
We could play a clip from the 2002 Disney movie Spirit.
Wait, doesn't that have a subtitle?
Stallion of the Cimarron or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was also DreamWorks, motherfucker.
Oh, well. Okay.
Fair is fair. Give me.
But hey, we would actually get to play Hans Zimmer music in that instance. So.
Oh my God, Hans Zimmer did an animated movie.
Oh yeah. It's pretty good.
The one movie he won the Oscar for was The Lion King.
Well, of course, The Lion King's a sweep. But what how far in should I play this song?
I haven't listened to it, honestly. Life's too short.
Let's just go right to 1 minute and start from there. That'll be our timestamp. 1 minute.
Okay. All right.
Okay. You know what? That song. That song's legit. I think there's some really good melody to that one. You get rid of that garage band kick drum and weird dum dum sound in the back, and you got something good going for you.
You make it a better song.
And it'll be a better song.
um, I think with a little tweaking and The Spirit being a really good movie, that could have been a pop hit. Um, Simply because it's got a really big James Bondy theme vibe to it.
You know which that song really needed? It needed like sound clips from the movie just dropped in at random times, like I'm the octopus. I got everything.
This city, my city, she provides. Falling for me.
Sans Serif is, or no, Silk and Floss is the most beautiful woman in the world.
Oh, that might have been my favorite line of the movie. Oh no. My favorite is no egg on my face. Not
No
a single
egg.
glob.
His egg thing was just painful.
You know what? I think Sam Jackson pulled off that really crappy line to the point where it was entertaining. And that's more than we can say about the majority of this film and its music. Does that Christina Aguilera song appear at end credits, beginning credits, near death?
Probably late end credits.
Okay, that was a promotional song, right?
Pretty sure, yeah. So.
Okay. Well, it's still, you know what? I think that's a good song. I really like the vibe of that song, but I gotta, man, that those underbeats were childish.
Yeah. Well, at least something good can be gleaned from this movie and its music section.
Okay, so if we're all done with music, let's take a step forward into the future.
No.
We all did our due diligence, Ben.
I
It's
know.
time for you
I
to
know.
talk for like 8 minutes about something.
All right. All right. I'm looking at the outline. We got Reanimation. We can start with that one.
Okay, let's start with Reanimation because this film dealt a lot with dying and coming back to life.
Yes.
Or-
Reanimation is a 2002 album by Linkin Park. It primarily features remixes of songs, remixes and bonus tracks of songs from Hybrid Theory.
Okay, that did answer my question. Second question. Just think about it if it's as if you were talking about Frankenstein. All right, give a
Yeah.
a
Okay.
better context to this.
Right. So
The idea of bringing artificial or like even dead tissue back to life.
yeah. So um, it can't really be done. Like there's like CPR and like defibrillators and stuff. So if like you're clinically dead, they can like shock you and start your heart back up. But that's not really what this is about. Once you're dead, you're gonna be dead forever. Sorry.
Like there's
Brain death specifically.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not even anything science fictiony in the works of how to cheat death, because people can be proclaimed critically dead, which is what the halting of heart movement of
Oh,
blood flow.
there's all kinds of like different definitions and gradations for different levels of death.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like your heart stops is one, and another is you don't have any brain activity.
Mm-hmm.
And another one is like you've had no brain activity for long enough that you could not be brought back without permanent brain damage.
Oh.
And there's one that's you are like your brain's been off for so long, like you haven't had oxygen to your brain for so long that how does it work?
You know what, Ben?
Yeah.
This has gotten boring. Let's move on to the next
Yeah, I
topic.
agree.
let's skip this one here and go to the one more closely related with death, because and near death experiences from a scientific standpoint, and because this movie dealt a lot with if you die, you see this lady,
hmm
Jamie King. What was her name in the movie? Lorelei?
Yeah, or
Lorelei.
something.
Yeah, and like instead of calling her Lady Death, he called her Lorelei, and we have no idea why he called her Lorelei.
Yeah,
It's confusing, very confusing point of the
it's a
film.
very confusing movie.
Anything that dealt with
Cops and sailors can hear her.
um, eh, and so what is recorded near-death experience has been like?
So a near-death experience is some people, like drowning victims, people who go into cardiac arrest. Some of them report hallucinations, type of thing. In like as they're dying, they like see visions, flashes of light, people, whatever. They're hard to study because they're basically all self-reported, and it would be hard to say we want to study this, so we're gonna, shock people's hearts and then bring them, like unshock them, and then have them talk about what they saw. That would not pass the human subject review board. So not a whole lot is known about them, or the mechanism that causes it.
But has been there like a common theme of like, do they see darkness? Do they see light? Do they see figures? Does everybody say light flashing before your eyes?
From what I've read, which is not a lot, and like I said, it's not all super reliable, but it's like light and figures, and usually like tied to the person's religious beliefs. If
Really?
they have, yeah, if you have strong religious beliefs, then they like, oh, I saw an angel.
Wow.
So
Oh.
I don't know, that's proof God exists, and a skeptic like me would be like, or counterproposal, since you have a strong religious faith, you were just hallucinating and then saw what you expected. Like your brain interpreted this because that's in your schema.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so near-death experiences, they happen. They're not well understood.
Well, yeah. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to glean if we've discovered anything enlightening outside of people tend to see what they wanted to see.
Yeah, basically.
And, a lot of people wanted to see angels, and so we've got a fair amount of reports of angels. But most
Mhm.
people just wanted to see light.
Yeah.
I just want to see a world where this movie doesn't exist.
I just want to see women.
Yeah, so like the spirit seeing some woman is not that surprising because it's like his primary motivation
Yeah.
in
I
this
did
movie.
I did like that quote from the film. I thought when it was actually getting, it has its shiny moments where he's like, people say your life flashes before your eyes when you're near death. That didn't do that for me. All I see is women, and it just shows like the pictures of all the women in the movie, and I'm like, you know what? That's pretty neat. Granted, like these women have no depth, and
It comes off as a little misogynistic.
yeah, but like it like that gives a lot of that actually explains the spirit a bit more artistically as a womanizer of just like I don't see light or anything at the end of a tunnel. I just see all these beautiful women that I've loved in my life. And you're like he's a big slut, but um, it's true. But he
It's
could
true.
because my God, the scene where he's like, "I love you."
Oh, really?
I
So
thought you,
you're you're
Skylar.
We lost him.
Oh no. Okay.
see you.
Hopefully Skylar will. Oh, there he is.
Yay! The prodigal son has returned.
Okay. Let's go to the last topic, and
Yep.
this one's just for fun because we needed topics. And in the movie, we have Octopus trying to get his hands on the blood of Heracles, the correct pronunciation of Hercules from Greek instead of Roman.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a little fun factoid. And I'm sure every nerd listening to this already knew that. Um, and he wants to get the blood because the blood's gonna mix with his already immortal serum thing he tested on the spirit and then put himself. It's gonna mix with that, and he's gonna become truly immortal, whatever the upgrade may be.
Yeah, I guess immortality is non-binary in whatever universe the spirit takes place in.
And speaking of that, real quick sidetrack. What year was this movie supposed to be based in?
Like the 30s, but they have cell phones and the internet. So,
What was going on?
And a photocopier for her to take a photo of her butt with.
Okay, I didn't catch any of that. Skylar, your connection is falling apart.
there was a photocopier and a butt was on it.
No, what sent me was Morgenstern's giant ass gun. What even was that? Anyway, that sidetrack being done, the blood thing got me thinking as a science topic. Do you ever ingest blood, like drink it, for any sort of medicinal purpose? Or is that just kind of sick and gross and it's weird that I thought that way?
Animal blood is a common ingredient in many cuisines. It's nutritive. It has a high iron content. It tastes all right if you prepare it properly. Drinking other humans' blood is a good way to spread disease, if that's what you're into. I actually looked up medicinal uses of blood because I was curious, and the World Health Organization has like an 80-page document about the medicinal uses of blood, and it's basically transfusions,
Yeah.
to treat malaria, AIDS, bone marrow loss, obviously like trauma.
Yeah. Blood's
Injuries
got to
and stuff.
go into blood.
Yeah.
Blood can't blood going through your digestive system is sort of messed up, and it gets
Yeah, unless
digested like everything
you're
else.
eating it. Unless you're using it actually as a food source, like blood pudding.
Oh. explain blood pudding real quick for people who don't know and we're like, oh, gross, what?
It's basically a sausage, and the main component, instead of being meat, is like coagulated animal blood.
Okay. Still kind of gross, but acceptable.
I guess it tastes good. I've never had it.
Mm. Okay. That's, you know what? That's the most interesting thing we've come up with today is the medicinal purposes of blood through your digestive system. You know what? That factoid is more interesting than that entire movie.
Yeah.
Outside of red tie effects. So, done with science, Ben? Anything itching your brain still? Anything you want to
No.
get off your chest, like
Fuck
incest? Thoughts that you had dealing with Ellen and
Oh,
Commissioner Dolan?
yeah. I didn't pick up on the fact that they were actually father-daughter. So when she started calling him daddy, I got really uncomfortable and almost stopped watching on general principle.
You know what? I'm in that same boat. But I was thinking, like, did she just call him daddy as like a turn of the phrase? Like, you know, like, what's up, daddy-o? Like kind of a set, but then she kept doing it. And I'm like, this woman, like, they didn't make the age difference very clear at all.
Yeah, if she actually looked younger than him, I would have figured it out sooner. But it was well into the movie. After they had a few exchanges of dialogue before anyone says, or before he says, "No daughter of mine," and I'm like, "Oh my God, okay, it's not a creepy fetish thing." Thank God,
He's not
because
with this crusty old man.
and thank God because I was really uncomfortable during those scenes.
And I was really uncomfortable with Paz Vega's purpose in this entire movie
Yeah,
as the French seductress that the octopus clearly should have kept reins on because she betrayed him.
yeah,
Because why would you put a woman in front of the spirit when you know that dude is just going to woo her for some reason? He's not even that charming.
yeah.
Okay. Speaking of charming, you can get pretty charming after you've completed the spirit drinking game. And that game has rules that we're going to tell you about right now. Who wants to start us off on drinking game rules for Frank Miller's The Spirit?
I'll do one. Well, I mean, besides every time she calls him daddy, and it's weird and creepy.
Drink to forget.
Drink to forget. Anytime a cat appears for no reason, and like Jim Halpert's the camera.
Just stares at it.
Just like stares directly at the camera and meows.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Oh
shit, the cops are like right outside my apartment. Oh, this is more interesting than anything that happened in this movie.
Take a drink if so.
Ah,
Skylar?
no! No!
Am I still gone?
You're
okay,
back.
you're back. Say your one
Okay,
again.
should I repeat what I just said?
Yes.
Okay. Take a drink. Most beautiful woman in the world.
Oh my God, Ben, are you picking up the same sound I am with Skylar?
It's pretty shit.
It's no. What's amazing me right now is that it's like it's looping.
Oh, that's weird. No, I'm not getting that. It's just choppy.
It's like delayed, and then you start talking again, and then it picks up and takes the delayed part and puts it over the stuff you're trying to talk about now.
Leave and come back, okay?
All right.
I think that's a good plan.
We'll wait for you. I will wait for you.
Take a drink. Take a improbable. Okay. Every time a character pulls out an improbably large item out of thin air for no reason, especially during that first fight scene. Oh shit! The cops are all over.
You know, Ben, you might want to ditch out.
Why?
Well, you've got 5 felonies on you.
No, I don't. Anyway, every time a character pulls out an improbably large item out of the air, take an improbably large drink in like proportion to how large that item is.
Yeah. I'm gonna say every time. Oh, no. Get yourself a bottle of Kraken. Take a shot of it for whenever Samuel Jackson does 8 of anything.
Or has 8 of anything, if you know what I mean.
Skylar! Oh, what a bummer.
I guess it's just us. Oh shit, there's an ambulance. I think someone's actually hurt. Oh fuck, he's coming into... What the fuck? He's coming into like my parking lot. Holy shit. What is going on? Sorry, this is fascinating.
Well, we're waiting for Skylar, and this is just going to be a bitch to edit. Hey, guess what? We had a viewer, but we lost him or her.
Oh, god damn it. I'm rubbernecking right now real hard.
Show me a camera shot, you little bitch.
It's like I don't know if you can actually see anything.
Not with that really blatant reflection.
Yeah. They're like that way, so you can't even really see them.
Oh, he's back.
He's back.
Okay. Do I sound at
Yes.
least?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Yay!
Okay. Take a drink of Silken Floss is the most beautiful woman in the world.
She definitely is, man. I'm gonna steal this one from you, Ben. Take a drink every time you catch yourself saying, was that the joke?
Yeah. That happens a lot in this movie. Like when the spirit gets hit in the crotch during this fight scene.
Mm-hmm. Was that
And then throws a toilet at the octopus and is like, oh, toilets are funny. Is that the joke? Oh, that's the joke. Oh boy. Okay. Open another one. Ugh.
Am I doing 2 in a row here?
Take a drink every time there's a... What was that?
What?
You alright, buddy?
Take a drink every time there's an abrupt tonal shift.
Oh, please. We don't want to kill our listeners. And we remind you, everyone, to drink responsibly.
If they're watching this movie, maybe they do, and I do too. I'm not exempt. Anyone who supports this schlock,
Oh, man.
just there's no forgiveness.
There really isn't. You know what? I'm done. I'm out of drinking game rules. If you guys want to rapid fire some, go ahead. But I'm fed up spending another minute on this movie.
Yeah, it looks like that'll do it for today, superfans.
Unless you want to finish the bottle, because you.
No, I don't. I just
Drink
want to
to
go to
forget
bed
this movie.
and wake up tomorrow not hungover because I'm not watching this movie again.
Okay. Let's do the end wrap up then. Oh shit. I didn't modify the end wrap up.
Oh no!
Nobody else modified it either. I guess I'm the only one doing part of my job. Anyway, looks like that'll wrap it up today. Super fans. Super Movie Studies is recorded and produced by the fictional and yet to be realized in any capacity Triop Cop Productions. If you like what you hear, show us your support by rating us on iTunes. No matter what media changes we do behind the scenes, we will always be available on iTunes, and that is where you can find us and rate us and download our episodes.
And if you want to talk about any of these episodes with us, we want you to talk about it on our subreddit, reddit.com/RSS Superhero Movie Club. That's going to change. We're going to build a new one. The URL will be something.
You know what? I think we're just gonna move the subreddit to the website.
Yeah.
I'd rather have just like a forum kind of setup.
Yeah, that
instead
makes
of-
That makes a lot more sense. But archived episodes, they're all on the Reddit Superhero
Yeah.
Movie Club.
You know, we could. I want to say what other material we can promote that you can just talk about, Ben, because I don't want to take away your talking point.
Oh, that's okay. It's okay.
We'll think of something before next week. Skylar, what's the last thing they can do? I'm hearing him text.
We're still on Twitter, Superhero Movie Club, at Superhero.
All right. I apologize. I'm going to have to take care of that.
I can do this.
Unfortunately, Skylar's having technical difficulties, but bless our lucky stars that they're not becoming serious until the end of the show. But Ben, take us away on our last social media plug.
SMSP also keeps up an active Twitter feed at SuperheroMC. Again, that also might change in the future. We'll let you know when it does. Follow us there. Send us your questions, comments, concerns, and suggestions. We'll use them on the air.
You know what? It's going to change by the time this episode comes out. I'm going to talk to Twitter Tom. We'll have a new Twitter handle for you next week when we do Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Yeah! Star Wars!
Star Wars! Is that a comic book movie, you say, Michael? Is it a superhero movie? To which I say, fuck you, it's close enough.
There are Star Wars comic books.
There's plenty of them.
There you go.
Star Wars.
Some of the current ones are actually quite good, too.
Yes. Star Wars. Oh, Star Wars is owned by Disney. Disney also owns Marvel Publishing. Marvel publishes Star Wars comic books. The thread is there, and I'm taking full advantage of it because
it's a Marvel movie.
It's a Marvel movie.
In some ways.
Not really, but we'll take it. That'll do today. I'm your host, Michael Maurer.
James Skylar Holtzma. And I'm Ben Anderson.
Spot on impression, Ben.
Was it?
Yeah. All right, I hope you all have a super week.
Bye.